Hello and welcome. We're thrilled to be able to tell you a little bit about what's new and what's next with Viva Topics. I'm Naomi Moneypenny and I am joined by many of the amazing team who helped to deliver this product to you. Our goal with this session, as we're covering in the agenda here, is to help you understand a little bit more about what's going on with Viva Topics and understand just a little bit more about the different roles that you need to support for Viva Topics as well. This session is going to go fast and furious, so please excuse the amount of demos and the amount of content that you're about to see, but hopefully you'll be able to get a great sense of what you can do to really enable a knowledge-sharing culture inside of Viva Topics. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the considerations that you have for Viva Topics before you even get started on that journey. And so we're covering off a little bit more here to understand where you really think about those considerations inside of your organization. First off, Viva Topics is about creating knowledge sharing inside of your organization. And so it's really important to understand a little bit more about the use cases that you have. So what are the scenarios? What is it that you're actually trying to figure out inside of your company? Where would knowledge sharing really help in your organization? And so it's a really important area to understand a little bit more about what you're trying to drive and achieve with this. In this case, technology, AI, in this case with Viva Topics, it's really great, but it is just an enabler and it's an important consideration for what you want to do. The other piece of this that's really important to understand is who's going to take on some of those roles. So when you're getting anything new started in your side of your organization, we want to understand who are the champions, who are the great stakeholders inside of your company. And then there's some new roles that we have as part of Viva Topics called the Knowledge Manager and thinking through the Knowledge Admin as well. And so with those considerations, we want to think through more about how we're going to deploy and understand the content that you have. Now, the awesome thing is that Viva Topics helps you to understand all of the content that's available on your intranet already. And so if you really ever wanted to have that robot intern essentially take that first cut of all of the topics that exist in your organization, just imagine that somebody could read through all of that content that you have on your intranet. And so this is a great way to be able to use Viva Topics to generate that first set of topics in your organization, and then think about how you're going to have that crowdsourcing model across your company where people can contribute their expertise into what we're doing with topics, and then be able to use that to effectively harness across your company too. Now, let's look at some of the deployment areas, and then we're going to walk through the different roles and understand some of the new changes that we have as part of the product. When we look at admins, it's really about identifying what content needs to be part of Viva Topics. And so understanding that folks need a license to be able to access Viva Topics, and so you have total control of that. When you're first getting started, you might want to have a very small amount of people who are involved with this particular project. Maybe you're implementing or just looking at the results that you're getting from Viva Topics, but you'll quickly want to expand that to lots of folks inside of your company. So that admin role is important. It helps to set the scope of the content that you have for Viva Topics, and then understanding who has access to those capabilities inside of your organization. And then the first time you run this, you're going to have that topic center. Now, behind the scenes, of course, when that's activated for your organization, Viva AI is going to go through and index all of that content that you have and create a topic page. And those topic pages are available inside of your organization, again, to that small select group of people that you might have started with, but over time will be available to everybody. Most importantly, you can see all of those results before you share them widely inside of your organization, so you're able to curate this information importantly too. The knowledge manager role is really essential here because it's not just about having one knowledge manager inside of your organization. We want to think about knowledge managers that go across your company. We know that many organizations are composed of different business units. People have different focuses as well. And that knowledge manager role really helps to both champion inside of your organization how people can get value, how can they build on the work of others and understand that too. And then when we think about that, there's a publishing life cycle associated with the topic. So sometimes you might be really happy with what AI has found automatically. Maybe it's kind of 70% there and it's good enough, but sometimes you might want to curate that information more heavily. And so you can think about that role as part of the knowledge management area, and that's all done inside of the topic center. Now, this is something that has to go across your organization. When you think about knowledge sharing, it really is about empowering people to both contribute their own expertise into topics, but also then to be able to share that widely inside of your organization. And so this crowdsourcing effort, similar to how you see on some of the consumer sites on the internet, we want to do that inside of your organization in a measured and managed way. Now, the other piece of this is understanding once we have that topic, once we have that knowledge inside of your organization and it's available there, we really want to think through how people help to discover this in the flow of work. And when we think about that, it's really about how I help you proactively get that experience inside of the experiences that you use every day. And so when we look at this, it's really not about just creating another topic center or another destination that people have to remember to go to. They really also need to see this inside of the flow of work. And we're going to look at many of those experiences today. So that's just a little bit about the considerations we have for Viva Topics. And then we want to share with you just a little bit about what our customers who are early adopters are seeing and what they're using those particular topics for. Now, the different use cases inside of the organization are often quite varied. And so even within one organization, you might see a lot of different areas where people are implementing some of these knowledge bases. And so we've seen kind of a range across the early adopter customers that we're working with. And those early adopter customers have been everything from the largest companies on the earth that have lots of different products and services associated with them to very specific smaller companies who are looking at particular areas in professional services and engineering in different industries. And so when we look at that, we say, hey, what are these use cases that they're seeing the most? And you'll see some of these up on the screen here. Now, looking at kind of expertise in context is a big area in particular. And so because we're using some of the information we have inside of the Microsoft Graph, we can understand who's collaborating and who's actively working in a particular area. And so this is really about understanding those collaboration signals and mapping those to topics. So if you've ever wondered about who you should be able to contact inside of an organization who's actively working on a particular area, this is a great use case for topics to be able to solve for you. One of the other areas that I want to mention here is really how you build on top of the work that other people are doing. A knowledge sharing system is really just about that. So that knowledge that we get across the organization, how can we help it to bootstrap new projects? How can we understand how to learn from experiences before and apply them into new products? And so that's really a big use case for what we're seeing with Viva Topics All Up. And then understanding in different business areas how that's important. It could be things that are internal facing, could be things that are working with customers, whether it's support issues, maybe it's about enabling different understanding of sales with a customer pipeline. How do we make sure that people get the right references within there? How are they getting connected with the people who can help them to solve customer problems or keep up to date every day? Now, that also brings us into this area of kind of informal and in-context learning. So this is not about formal learning and training courses inside of your organization. For that, you need to look at Viva Learning, which is part of the Microsoft Viva suite. But this is in case of understanding the context of where you're working. If you've ever been stymied by three-letter acronyms inside of your organization and just figuring out what does this project name mean and how does it connect to something else, that's really what Viva Topics is all about. Now, when you go further into the future, it's really about understanding tacit knowledge. And so you might have invested in areas such as Microsoft 365, like Yammer with communities. And tacit knowledge is all about drawing out what's inside of people's heads and making that into something that's useful and shareable to other people. And so whether that's happened inside of conversations or whether that's actually occurring inside of your organizations, maybe as interview processes, maybe as understanding how people are doing things right now and you're understanding that process mapping, these are all scenarios where Viva Topics can help you to collate that knowledge, to aggregate it together, and then help you to make that widely shareable inside of your organization. So hopefully that gives you a really quick overview of what it takes to understand a little bit more about Viva Topics, some of the considerations you have for deployment, and what we're seeing some of the customers that are working with today. Now I'm going to hand it over to all of the great product team that are on the call here, and we're going to walk through each of those different roles individually. So the knowledge admin role and thinking that through, we're going to look at the knowledge manager role and some of the great new improvements we have there. And then finally, we're going to look at some of those new end user experiences that help you to deliver knowledge in the flow of work. So I'm going to hand it over to CJ. Please take it away and tell us a little bit about how we're setting knowledge admins up for success.
Thanks, Naomi. So knowledge administrators can be successful when they understand what's going on. So our analytics on knowledge indexing process gives feedback on the topics discovered from the selected SharePoint sites. So this information includes the number of topics that people have added, so it can help inform expansion and scale decisions to increase the coverage and usefulness of topics. Topic engagement analytics demonstrate the reach and effectiveness of topics, answering the questions of how the organization is learning from or using the knowledge from topics. We also focus on ensuring the analytics are actionable. So for example, you can learn that you're missing an area of knowledge that could benefit from indexing and decide to include more SharePoint sites and through the configuration. You can see the top topics to understand what other areas of the organization could benefit from this knowledge and decide to add more users to view topics. And you can see who contributes to topics and reward them since they are sharing their knowledge. And this is just the start for analytics, as we see this as a key capability of Viva Topics. So topics can also be seeded from existing taxonomy terms from the modern SharePoint term store. The knowledge manager can select a term and submit it for topic creation. the resources that have been tagged with the term become part of the topic automatically, and people and descriptions can then be extracted from this content. We've also heard from many customers that they can benefit from taking more time to build an understanding of and a confidence in the AI suggested topics. So these next two administration controls were added to address this request. First, there's an advanced setting to only show confirmed and published topics to end users. By opting to only show confirmed and published topics, knowledge managers can take the time to develop their point of view on what type of topics can be crowdsourced and which ones should be controlled more closely. And they can do this without delaying the opportunity for everyone else to consume and learn from these topics. The second control is really an advanced setting for excluding resources based on sensitivity labels. This will apply first for files and then followed by sites. And lastly, as you may be aware, we are also running an early adopters program for Viva Topics. We've added a new setting to allow program participants to choose who will see the pre-release features in order to share their feedback with our engineering team. This is a great opportunity for our team to learn from real-world applications of topics and gives customers time to learn and plan adoption of these new capabilities. By focusing on what the knowledge administrator needs from Viva Topics, we're able to build a better experience for everyone, where topics are helpful and useful in the context of M365 apps like Teams, Yammer, Outlook, and Office. Now let's have a look at the Knowledge Manager capabilities that we're adding. As Naomi had mentioned, knowledge managers really do play a critical role in the adoption of topics in your organization. So we're improving these experiences so they can include and encourage users to share and engage with topics. So to start, we're adding 3 areas. There's the rich usage and indexing analytics to understand how things are working. We have additional metadata like category and usage to suggested topics so they can easily focus on the topics that are most valuable to the organization. And topic segments to organize the topics and delegate ownership to specific people. This really allows them to target the best people to share their knowledge. The volume of topics suggested can be overwhelming for knowledge managers, especially when all the content in an organization has been selected for indexing. So we know that knowledge is distributed across different people in an organization. So we need ways to bring together the topics that have the most impact with the users with the best knowledge. We're adding new columns and filtering capabilities to better express the quality of the topic, its status, the impressions and potential impressions, its category, and the last activity. So these should allow knowledge managers to make confirm, publish, or remove decisions much quicker than they do now. And lastly, we're also introducing a way to segment topics. To start, you'll be able to segment topics by SharePoint sites with more properties for segments to come. And these segments, again, allow knowledge managers to identify, then delegate the ownership of these topics to the people who might best validate, manage, and curate them. So now that we've talked about the knowledge manager and the administrator capabilities and setting up topics for success, let's have a look at how we can deliver this knowledge to the people in the flow of their work every day. And here's Maeneka.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maeneka Grewal, and I'm a PM on Viva Topics, and I'm going to be walking you through 2 Viva Topics experiences today. The first is Viva Topics and Viva Connections. Here's the Viva Connections landing page in Teams, and you can see here on the landing page, we have a topic, Mark 8, and it's highlighted. So this is another example of the knowledge finding you in your flow of work. And you can hover on this highlight and get taken to its topic card, and also click from the topic card to the topic page, all within Viva Connections. And on its topic page, you'll see here it has its alternate name, its definition, scroll down further for the people, for the files and the pages, and you can scroll all the way down to the related topics graph, which shows which topics this topic is related to. So that was an example of a topic on the landing page, but you can also see topics in SharePoint news and announcements. So let's scroll down on the page and we see here we have this SharePoint announcement called Store Opening Guidance. And if we open that, we'll see there's also a highlight on this page here for the Rainier project. Similar as to before, we can hover on that, see its topic card, and click to its topic page, all the expected behavior. So that's Viva Topics and Viva Connections. And now I'll show you Viva Topics in Office. Specifically, this example is Word. So we have a Word document here, and we see that topic again, Mark 8. If you highlight that topic and perform a search on it within Word, you'll get this sidebar on the right with the search results, And the Mark 8 topic appears in the search results as well. You can also click through to the topic and you'll get taken to its topic page. So those are those two experiences. I'll now hand it off to Kerem for topics and teams.
Thank you, Maeneka. One of the most anticipated integrations Viva Topics has is into Microsoft Teams. So we're doing some work here so that when you're in Teams and you're in your conversations, you can refer to topics in your conversations by using our topic picker. So you can see that I'm typing here, and then when I invoke the hashtag functionality or the key, I'll be able to get a list of topics from my organization and be able to refer to those topics in those conversations so that the people who are going to be receiving these conversations will be able to get the full context of what I'm talking about. And of course, the recipients will be able to hover over those references to topics and be able to get our topic card, which will give them the information that they need, bringing the knowledge to where they're getting their work done. And now Eric will show us how topics show up in Outlook.
Thanks, Kerem. Let's take a look at what Viva Topics will look like in an Outlook context. So here we are in Outlook Web, and you'll notice this new control on the top right of your screen. We're calling this the topic rollup control. And the advantage of this control is it summarizes all the topics that are mentioned within the entirety of the email thread that you see here. So like you would be able to in other canvases, you can mouse over the topic name to reveal the topic card, and clicking through on the topic name will take you to the topic page itself. So this is a good way of quickly summarizing all the topics that are mentioned in a group conversation. And if we switch to the compose scenario, just like you would in other canvases, you can use the hash symbol to invoke the topic picker and select from an existing list of topics to manually add to an email conversation. Now pivoting over to a Yammer context. So here we want to post a question, and we do so like we would normally, but we notice there's a new button, the Add a Topic button. And the effect of clicking on this is it opens up a tray where I can start typing and see an existing list of topics. So in this case, I see that Mach 3 is already a topic, and I want to associate it with this Q&A thread, so I click on that topic. I start typing another name, commercial range, and notice that it isn't a known topic in the knowledge base. So I have the ability to create a new topic without ever leaving Yammer. So I click Create It, enter a description, and now the topic is created. When I post this Q&A thread, these tags, these topic tags, will show up to anyone that has access to these topics. And if I click on the topic itself, I can see all the Yammer content that has been tagged with the Mach 3 topic. And I can even filter to see just the Q&A threads that have been tagged with that particular topic. Just like you would see in other canvases, you can also mouse over the topic name to get a view of the topic card. And if I click View Details, I jump to the topic page where you'll notice that we've added a few new web parts. One is this Q&A web part, so you can see all the Q&A threads that have been tagged with the Mach 3 topic, as well as a web part for conversations, so I can see everything that's been tagged with a Mach 3 topic that's a conversation. Eventually, we'll expand to other Yammer content types, but for now, we're starting with Q&A and conversation threads. That concludes the Yammer demo. One of the advantages of tagging Yammer content with topics is it gets more visibility by being surfaced on the topic page and being seen by parties that are interested in this particular topic.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. So I hope you enjoyed all those great demos. We really recapped a little bit there with the knowledge admin experience and all the new events we have going on there. CJ also shared a little bit about how knowledge managers can have some great new capabilities too. And then finally, just how we're experiencing everything Viva Topics as an end user inside of connections and SharePoint pages, inside of Office, and all of the great stuff that we have coming up for you in Teams, Outlook, and Yammer. So now just a little bit about what we're doing to look forward. So one of the areas that we've heard customers talk about a lot is understanding all of the multilingual content they have. We understand right now Viva Topics works only in English. And so we want to be able to have a great set of experiences that incorporate all of the different languages and include everybody. So those are one of the areas that's top of mind for us in the future. The other big piece of this is understanding how we can connect what Viva Topics is doing with people's profiles inside of your organization. So more generally in Microsoft 365, as pervasive as the people card is, we also want to make sure we're including what we do with Viva Topics and making that association there as well. The other big area for us is incorporating more and more into what we do with Microsoft Search. Search is everywhere across Microsoft 365, and we want to bring you some great new experiences that incorporate those topic answers directly where you need them so you can take action quickly and get to the information that you need. Now, a couple of the other pieces that I wanted to mention as part of this. As you might have seen with some of the work that we highlighted with Kerem and Eric's demos, you'll see this idea of this kind of topic picker. This is a notion that's thinking about topics across Microsoft 365. And as CJ mentioned, we talked about the terms and managed metadata services and how that helps to seed what we're doing with topics. Now, more generally, this means that topics becomes a service inside of Microsoft 365 and allows you to help add content in there and understand a little bit more about how we can aggregate content inside of your organization that's relevant to a topic. You'll see more and more of this as it becomes more of a service inside of the company and understanding how we can actually help you to bring those experiences, all of the content that you look at, whether those are inside of external systems or just within Microsoft as well. Now, speaking of external data, one of the biggest requests we get is understanding how do we connect in more data. That's awesome that we work with all of the greatness we have in Microsoft 365, but not everybody's data lives inside of Microsoft 365, and we do realize that as part of Microsoft Viva. Our goal with Microsoft Viva is to deliver a great employee experience platform. And so connecting to other systems like HR systems such as Workday, other systems like ServiceNow, and even other wiki providers like MediaWiki are all part of what we want to do with Viva Topics and with Microsoft Viva more generally. We want to bring you a great rich set of experiences. And so to keep up to date with us, you'll see a couple of areas here that's important. One of those areas is to understand how we help to connect with you as a community on the Viva Topics Tech Community resources. So the link we have here helps you to understand some of the blogs, the demos, and keeping up to date with what we're doing inside of the product team. And then the last piece here I wanted to mention is how you get started with adoption. So we have a link here to help you understand the different roles that you need inside of the company, understand some of the guidance we'd expect to include as part of your journey with Viva Topics, and then how those kind of use cases come to life. So we have a new use case catalog that are coming as part of that too. Now, I know this has been a fast and furious engineering update essentially for what we're doing with Viva Topics, and I hope that you've enjoyed meeting some of the team and seeing some of the great work that we're doing inside of Viva Topics. Please do connect with us on the tech community. We always want to hear from you, and we are always able to keep up to date there as well. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye, everyone.
We do the Brady Bunch.
Oh, no.